'cause I was way too shy. What would have happened if you just had passed me by tonight? We keep on drinking, keep on wishing for someone out there to hold. All those little moments, the bites you didn't catch me looking over your shoulder.
Hey you guys, and welcome back to the Greasing Crew. I have a ton of laundry to do today, and so I thought it would be fun just to sit down and do some laundry together and talk about homeschool and where to start. So I have, let's see, I'm going to pull these baskets a little bit closer. I'm going to separate all of the kids and let's have them really close to me. If you have some laundry to do or dishes to do or just some cleaning to do, this would be a fun video to just plug your headphones in and get ready to bust out some cleaning. So let's get ready to clean or fold together. So today I wanted to talk to you about homeschooling and how to get started. If you've ever thought about homeschooling or in the process and you've just decided, I want to homeschool, good for you. That's so exciting. I'm excited for you. Your journey is going to be one of a kind, unique, and tailored specifically to you and your family. And I know that you can do it and you're going to do it well. One of the things that people get nervous about is just thinking that they don't know where to start and they don't think that they can do it, but that's not true. You are uniquely designed to be the mom of your children, and only you know them the best besides your husband. Only you know your children best besides your spouse. And I think that you are going to be the best teacher for your kid. Whether you think you're qualified or not, you are the best teacher for your kid. You already have been teaching them for the first 5 years of their lives. And now it's time for them to enter into maybe preschool or kindergarten. And you're thinking, I want to homeschool. And I just don't know where to start. Or maybe that's not you. Maybe the case is that you've been having your kids go to private school or public school. And you just think, man, I am so tired of this hustle and bustle and getting up at 7, getting the kids up at 7, getting them their breakfast right away, and then having to get them out the door, having to get them on the school bus, going to school, or having to get in the car and drive to school every morning, and then having to go and pick them up every day at the end of school, and then you have to deal with the after school letdown, like just all of the energy that they've had throughout the day that's been built up. The school is not as safe. The school that they're going to may not be as safe of a place for them as their home is. And so when they're at school, they know that they have to act a certain way, but that can be really exhausting for some kids. So when they get home, they just relax and then they let all that pent up energy out. And that can be them going a little extra crazy at home, or it could be them just being exhausted from having to maintain that behavior and going and taking a nap. It can range from the crazy to the nap, all in between. And one thing that I have noticed with being at home is that my children have highs and lows with their energy. And a lot of it has to do with like snacks or excitement or being really tired, because my younger two are 3 and 2. Some days we'll do a lot of things outdoor and that extra fresh air really does them good and it will really wear them out. So some days I will have Cora take a nap just because of all the extra activities that we've done outside, and she really needs it. She's growing, she's 5, and that's totally fine. Anyways, back to the point, getting into homeschooling, what to do. You just got to remind yourself, I am qualified to teach my children. No one else is better qualified than you. Now what? You've decided to homeschool. Now what? First, the first thing I would do is start looking at curriculum. or start looking at different homeschooling styles. That's probably the first thing I would do, because different curriculum has different styles. So I'd start looking at the different homeschooling styles. So let's say that Cora, my oldest, is 4, and we are just getting into the preschool stage. I know I want to homeschool. What do I do? I'm going to start looking into the styles, and that's exactly what I did. My sister-in-law, actually, let's see. My sister-in-law homeschools, and she does classical. I believe I have another sister-in-law who homeschools, and she has a daughter the same age, so we started at the same time. And I think she also chose classical, and then I also chose classical. So we all chose classical, but mine isn't just solid classical. I chose to do kind of like eclectic. I liked a couple of different styles of homeschooling, and I wanted to incorporate them. So at the beginning of this year, I actually chose to do classical, but also to do like learning through play. Gosh, there must be another term for that. I'm not thinking of it right now though. Like just really peaceful and just taking it one step at a time, like child-led learning. You know, and when we started doing that, it just ended up not working. So even if you do find a style, a homeschooling style that you're like, yeah, I want to try this year, I think this will best be suited for my child's needs, and then you start doing it and realize, wow, okay, that sounded really good for me, but it's not working out for my kid, it's okay to drop it and choose something else and switch it. I know that there's nature-led learning and Montessori, and there's like, oh, what is it called? Like, I don't know. Anyways, there's just a lot of different styles. I would definitely recommend you do your homework on them. Once you've, like, honestly, when I was doing my homework on them, I had a notebook out. I was finding all the different types of homeschool styles. I was writing down the name of them at the top of a piece of paper in my journal, and then I would just write notes underneath them describing, okay, this is what this one is. This is what this one is. This is what this style is. And I did that for all of them, and it really helped me to solidify what I wanted. And then once I figured out, okay, this is what I think would be great, this is what I'm good at teaching, this is more aimed towards my children, then I was like, okay, let's find some curriculum. What kind of curriculum do I want? Well, I knew that I wanted to have a Christian-based curriculum. That's just something that I wanted. There's a lot of really good curriculum out there that is not Christian-based that would be highly recommended. It's just not what I wanted. And that's my personal preference. And that's the greatest thing about homeschooling, is that you get to choose and you get to decide what fits best for you and your children. And if it's not a Christian-based one, that's fine. If it is, that's fine too. So when I was looking through them, I was trying to think, okay, what do I want to do during the day? Like, what kind of schedule do I want my kids to have? And I was still tinkering with what homeschool picks I wanted, like what curriculums. And so as I was picking out different curriculums, I had a curriculum sheet, and it said like each subject, and then it had like different lines underneath it. You can find stuff like that online pretty easily. And so I'd write down, okay, I really like the sound of this curriculum, and I would write that down for whatever subject it was that I was looking at. And then if there was another curriculum I liked, I would write that under the same subject. And then I wouldn't buy the curriculum until I was sure that that's what I wanted. So, for example, I was interested in Abeka. I was interested in The Good and the Beautiful. I was interested in Horizon Math. I was interested in The Peaceful Press. And so I wrote those down for each subject because I was like, well, all of these sound really good. Like, how do I choose? Well, you just got to do your homework. You got to put a little bit of effort into it. And you have to decide, okay, this just sounds the best. And lucky for me, I actually had a neighbor who had tried doing Abeka for kindergarten, and that's exactly what I needed. But she ended up not doing that. She did it for like a month or two to get them ready for kindergarten, and then she stopped. And so she had the entire box and was like, hey, I have this box. Do you want it? And I was like, yes, absolutely, I do. I love it. And so I got it, and man, just for me personally, that was really overstimulating. I had all of these boxes, well, not boxes, but all of these books to go with the curriculum. I had the teacher book, and then I had the student book, and then I had at least 4 different books because there were 4 different like subjects. There was a writing book, a reading book, a math book, and then like a handwriting book, and it was just a lot. And then there was a lot for like morning time, and a lot for, and when I say morning time, I just mean like your morning basket, like morning circle, morning time, morning basket, same thing. And it was just too much for me, and I was going through the books and it looked great, but I just realized like I don't want to be stressed out teaching, and this was stressing me out. It was just way too much for me. I needed something a little bit that was more simple. Not simple necessarily in like the work, but simple, I don't have as much stuff. I'm more a simple minimalist anyways, and it was just too much for me. So I donated that box to one of my friends in our homeschooling group because she also had a kid who was going into kindergarten. So then, after I looked at Abeka, I had tried The Good and the Beautiful with my daughter for preschool, and it was just really too much for her for preschool. And so I didn't really, and we didn't really use all of it. It was too much for me for her for preschool, with having 2 little kids who were like a newborn and one. So I had tried that one out as well, but I just didn't really know about it. And so I was like, okay, the Peaceful Press will be the way to go. I bought that and I tried it. And let me tell you, it's really fun and awesome. And there are a lot of different curriculums that are kind of similar, that have like notebooking, like the Charlotte Mason style. But this one was not as rigorous as like she would want it to be. She just really wanted to be like, this is school, I want to learn. And it was more like play and do fun little lessons through it. And my son was having fun, but like he just wasn't getting engaged as much as like you would think, because it wasn't them being like, let's study trees, let's study acorns. Like I'd present it and they'd just be like, okay, cool, but it wasn't student led. And so they weren't really getting into it as much. Like they'd still have fun doing all the artsy crafts and stuff, but they just weren't getting into it as like I would have thought. And the crafts go really fast. Being a military mommy and being a stay-at-home mommy, we only live on one income. And so to buy the curriculum, it was pretty affordable. I'd say it was a little bit expensive just for me. I think it was like anywhere from 45 to 60 for the whole bundle, which I was like, okay, like I can manage that for the year. Like if that's what we're using for the year, like I can manage that. And then it ended up not being that. But on top of that, like I had to have a printer and printer paper and printer ink, and I had to then print all of the curriculum off that I wanted to use, just because like I like a physical copy. I'm a kinesthetic learner and more of a kinesthetic teacher, which is why kinesthetic means just like working with your hands. And so that's why I initially liked the Peaceful Press, is because it had a lot of stuff to do with your hands, like arts and crafts and being outdoors in nature. But that being said, you'd have to buy all of the supplies for all of the crafts, which like I live kind of in the middle of nowhere. It takes me about 30 minutes to get into town, and finding the specific items for the specific craft was just a little bit too hard for me, because it ended up being a lot of money out of pocket for just 1 month's supply of all the arts and crafts stuff, all of the cooking stuff, and it just ended up not working for me. I needed something that would be a little bit less expensive in the long run, and maybe a little bit more expensive up front. And so I thought, okay, well, let's just give the Good and the Beautiful a try again, because they have a really great thing that they do for, I'm not sure if this is for all the grades, but for kindergarten, they do a free download. So you can get the download of the curriculum for English and for math for free. All you have to do is you have to print it. I have had printing issues, and they were not the greatest with customer support when it came to those printing issues, and basically just told me that it was my system that was at fault, instead of trying to help me like work through it. Where like my pages wouldn't print the images, and you need the images for all of their stuff. However, I'm still using it. I really like the curriculum. My daughter's really been enjoying it, so we're still using it. But next year, instead of using the free one, I'll have my allotment to use towards the actual physical copy, where this year I had bought a different curriculum and switched pretty early on in the year to use theirs. So it's okay to switch curriculums that you're using midway through the year to have homeschool suit your needs better. And that's so awesome. Like, that's the best part about homeschooling, is that you can do that. Like, you have the option to do that. Like, if you were I used to teach at a public school. I used to teach in a public school, and you don't get that option. You don't get the option to just drop that curriculum and move on to a different one. Your school district will have a curriculum for you and say, hey, this is what we're using for math, and this is the curriculum we're using for English, and we think that this is pretty awesome curriculum for the masses, and so we're going to use this because I think it's going to be the best for everybody. And it does end up working out pretty well, because all of the teachers that are there are on the same page, are working through the same curriculum. No one's doing something different, unless it's just like a small lesson. And so like that's great about public school. But what if your kid doesn't do well with that curriculum, you know? You can't just say, all right, let's pick a new curriculum. It's okay, well, we have to stick it out because that's what your school says. Like, you have to keep doing math this way because that's what your school says and that's what your school is doing. I just love the freedom in homeschooling. And I love the freedom that if it's not hard enough math for your kid, you have the option to choose something else and to pursue that and to pursue their needs. So I'm just really thankful because, you know, instead of sticking with math that's just way too easy for Cora, we switched to something that was a little bit more rigorous, and she's just doing so well. She's phenomenal at math and just excelling very quickly through each lesson. And she wouldn't have had that opportunity if she was not homeschooling. So I'm just really grateful. Once you pick out your curriculum, it makes it a little bit easier because then you can order it. It'll be on your way. There's a lot of good websites out there as well that might have the same curriculum that you're wanting at a discount. Also, I think it's in September, right when school's about to get started. I know some people start school in August. We started school in August. At the beginning of the school year, a lot of curriculums will go on sale because they want you to buy theirs instead of their competitors, which is awesome for you because that way you can know, okay, this is the curriculum I want. I'm going to wait till it goes on sale, and then I'm going to be able to get that And whatever I didn't spend, you know, that I saved with the sale, I can put towards books or something else that might be beneficial for your child. That being said, there are a lot of like people who do small individual studies. One gal who I really enjoy is, I think her name's Anne Hathaway. No, that's the actress. Hathaway Designs is what she's called on Etsy. I think she also has a website. I don't remember her first name, but Hathaway Designs, and she does a lot of individual studies, and they're really good, like unit studies. I like them, so I would definitely recommend that. I know that there's another gal named Jody Maccabee, and she does a lot of unit studies. She does a lot of notebooking, more like Charlotte Mason, and it's really awesome as well. On top of the regular curriculum, one of my friends does like music theory, and like you could do that as well. Once you do have your curriculum, you can choose like, okay, well, do I want to do anything else besides that on top of it? Do I want to have a morning time? What kind of schedule do I want to do at home? And then you can decide, okay, I want to do our school in the morning, and then we're going to do this. And so then you kind of map out timeline wise, like during the day, what do I want my homeschool day to look like? What's my goal in homeschooling? What do I want my kids to learn? And then you start mapping out, okay, this schedule looks like it might work. But honestly, I would map out like 2 or 3 different schedules that you think might work for you, because you can try one, and then if that doesn't work, you can try out plan B. And if that one doesn't work, you can try out plan C. I have adjusted our schedule a lot this year just to make it suit our needs as a family. And so we've changed our schedule around quite a bit, and that's okay. Now with homeschooling, you might have a lot of like legal questions behind it. There's a legal group for homeschooling that I'll link down below. Gosh, I think it's like Homeschooling Legal. I don't remember it off the top of my head, but I'll link it down below. So if you have any legal questions in any state at all, they'll handle it. And if you're having any legal issues and need help, they'll help you. I just wish I could remember off the top of my head what it was called. So, anyways. Shoot, my bread. I will continue this in a minute. Okay, so I just went downstairs because I'm baking sourdough today, and I had to get the dough into the oven in order to bake. Anyways, my hour of cleaning is up. Now I have an hour of outside time with the kids, and my husband's going to be doing an hour of cleaning. Gonna just take turns today. So I just wanted to say thank you so much for joining me today. A little synopsis of what we talked about. A little synopsis of what we talked about was finding the homeschool style that you like, that best suits your need, finding a curriculum that suits that style, and then on top of that, seeing if you want to add any other extra curriculum on top of that, or getting extra books. And then the last thing that I was just going to say is find a group, find a homeschooling co-op or a homeschooling group where you can do homeschooling life together. I've done that with our classical group, Classical Conversations. We meet every Tuesday, and it's really nice because you're able to see different curriculum. I have a friend who uses Horizons Math, and I wanted to look into it to see if that would be a good fit for us for next year. Instead of having to buy the curriculum, she just let me borrow it and look through it and see, would this be a good fit for us? So I saved myself a ton of money. I'm not having extra curriculum just sitting around. Like I said, I'm pretty simple, minimalistic, so that would have stressed me out anyways, and I would have ended up throwing out like $150 into the garbage of usable curriculum. Honestly, I probably would have gifted it to somebody else, but still. Also going through different hurdles and different jumps. It's really nice to have that community. I have community even in Florida. One of my really good friends, she is also a YouTuber. Her name's Danielle Moy. I'll put her channel down below again. She homeschools and she does Classical Conversations, and so we're able to connect and just do that. And so it's just beautiful having that community of homeschool moms or homeschool spouses who can do life with you. Anyways, if you have any questions about how to get started with homeschooling, let me know. I'd love to answer it. I love homeschooling and I love teaching, not only my kids, but teaching you how to homeschool. So leave any questions, comments, concerns down below. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I've got to get going because we're going to go for some bike rides. I'll see you guys soon.